Hey guys, how are you doing? I am still doing pretty well. Thanks for asking again. Wow, you guys are so sweet. I wanted to talk about something a little more serious. The topic today is going to be about something that might be affecting a lot of you. Something that is obviously not good, not something to make fun of, or I'm not making light of any situation here. I'm simply just covering relevant information, and that's all I'm doing. We're going to be going over the massive layoffs that we're seeing. We're going to talk a little bit about why we're seeing it. We're going to be looking over some articles, getting different opinions, hopefully different opinions, and maybe they're all the same. I don't know. And we are going to move forward from there. First things first, we're going to talk about Google, CNBC. So a lot of these articles are going to be from CNBC. About half of them, mostly because you don't have to subscribe to see their articles. I started doing some other news sources, but they all in the middle of scrolling through pop up with ridiculous ads. It's disgusting. I hate it. It's annoying. I'm not paying for your ads. I'm already reading them, and I'm going to be inundated with ads to begin with. I'm definitely not going to subscribe to a newspaper. Just not doing it. I draw the line. Ain't happening. So, Google has recently, on Friday, Alphabet-owned Google announced it was cutting 12,000 employees. That is 6% of the full-time workforce. Google cutting 6% of their workforce. That is insane. That's not normal. You're going to see in just a moment, we're going to go over all kind of beautiful information and charts showing you it's not normal. They are saying they provided a FAQ, frequently asked questions, for the layoffs, but employees complain that it doesn't give much detail on many of the answers that they're giving. Pretty straightforward, pretty common, right? Giant business doesn't want to look bad. They don't want their stock tank to price. They don't want to look weak. They don't want to look like they're struggling as a business or having any issues. And make no mistake, Google is not struggling as a business. They are massive. They're huge. They're doing just fine. But they're still not going to come out and say, hey, look, we screwed up. We made a big mistake. We have to lay off you guys because we screwed up. This is our fault. That's just not good for PR, I guess. We'll move on to the next company, Meta, also known as Facebook, changing their name relatively recently to Meta, had laid off 11,000, more than 11,000 employees. This is about 13% of its staff. Meta laying off 11,000 employees. A Meta layoff in general isn't too surprising, right? I'm pretty sure most of us are aware that Facebook, Meta, whatever you want to call it, kind of took a fast redirect in a different direction whenever they started looking into virtual reality and things like that. Not a lot of people, not as many people as they had hoped, were impressed by it. And I feel like a lot of the issues they're having have to do with misdirection. But, I'm just a guy on YouTube. What do I know? That is my opinion. That's the opinion of many other people. I feel like it's common sense, but I'm sure many of you may disagree. If you disagree, if you have other information, by the way, on any of this, if you've got important relative information, feel free to educate us. Throw it down in the comments. Let me know. I've got no problem learning from other people. I'm happy to hear. But, Meta laying off more than 11,000 employees. That's major. That's a huge difference. This is an announcement that came out, I believe that was this past back in November 9th of 2022. So already we're kind of in like a 3-month span. We've already gone over a total of, 11,000. And this was how many? 12,000. So 23,000 employees that we're talking about so far, which does seem small in the big scheme of things. This is 23,000 employees so far in the tech industry. So we've all got to remember as well, this is all very industry related. This is an industry related issue. This isn't across the board talking about the entire economy. This isn't a huge outlook on the American economy. What this is more of is more of an outlook or an insight on American tech companies. Today I'm sharing some of the most difficult changes we've made in Meta's history. Zuckerberg said in a letter, I've decided to reduce the size of our team by about 13% and let more than 11,000 of our talented employees go. We're taking a number of additional steps to become a leaner. Oh, my bad. A leaner. and more efficient company by cutting discretionary spending and extending our hiring freeze through quarter one. Quarter one, if you're not super aware of that, January, February, and March of this year is quarter one. It seems that they are also in a hiring freeze at the moment, which is a difficult thing for a company to do. It's more of a natural way to shed off employees. You introduce a hiring freeze, you don't have to do massive layoffs, or you usually won't have to do continued massive layoffs. A hiring freeze just allows you to lose employees without gaining employees. And so you save money. It does take longer to save that money, but you don't have to worry about the PR issue of letting go of thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of employees. Moving forward, Amazon set to begin a new round of layoffs affecting more than 18,000 people. 18,000 people. This being released January 18th, 10 days ago. Amazon on Wednesday will begin a fresh round of job cuts in what's expected to become the largest workforce cut in its 28-year history. CEO Andy Jassy said the layoffs would affect more than 18,000 employees, primarily in human resources in store divisions. That's interesting. Back in November, if you've been paying attention, around the same time we just saw Meta announcing their layoffs. Back in November, Amazon was looking to cut staff, including in its devices and recruiting organizations. CNBC reported at the time that the company was looking to lay off about 10,000 employees. Crazy, crazy, crazy. The company's global workforce swelled to more than 1.6 million, up from 798,000 just 2 years before. Golly, I had no clue Amazon had 1.6 million employees. Now, I imagine a lot of them, like I said, this is global. I imagine a lot of them are in less benefited countries, nations, populations, if you catch my drift. I'm not saying anything. This is not me making any final statements about Amazon or who they hire or where they hire or anything like that, or their morals or how what they're doing is bad. But absolutely crazy. I had no clue they had 1.6 million employees. That's absolutely wild. Microsoft laying off 10,000 employees starting Wednesday. Now, this is published on January 18th, once again, 10 days ago. Starting Wednesday, roughly 5% of the workforce is affected. Microsoft announced thousands of job cuts this week, becoming the latest tech company to pluck its workforce as the global economy slows. Here, they're saying this has to do with a slowing of the global economy. That is true. That does make sense. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of stressors in the global economy right now. A lot of sketchy things going on, especially as we deal with things like, natural resource shortages, population lockdowns, things like that. Point is, Microsoft reported layoffs would affect roughly 5% of its workforce, with some notifications happening as early as Wednesday. Moving forward to someone who I would say it's expected if you know about Salesforce. So Salesforce Incorporated, which last week said it would be slashing 10% of its workforce, about 8,000 people, has disclosed a wave of layoffs at its San Francisco headquarters in a filing with the state of California. 752 jobs will be cut, so that is from the San Francisco headquarters alone. But in total, company-wide, they're talking about 8,000 people being laid off. That is a very large number of people being let go. Now, let's look at the math. Let's look at the numbers. Let's kind of put two and two together here, try to use our thinking brain and move forward. So this is a website called Layoffs.fyi. What Layoffs.fyi does is they track announcement from different companies that are announcing their layoffs, why they're laying off, all kind of fun little things like that. And they make pretty little charts that we can look into and analyze and try and understand ourselves. This is measuring tech layoffs from 2022 to 2023. First quarter 2022 to first quarter 2023. Just in case you're curious. Tech layoffs in total, we're looking at almost 70,000 employees laid off in 2023 alone. That's important. In 2022, there were 160,000. So 2023, we are seeing a significant portion already of last year's layoff happening in the first month of the year, which is crazy in my opinion. Yeah, it's a little scary. We see a spike around June of 2022, but it is nothing like the spike we've seen since November. November, if you remember, just a few moments ago, we had seen most of these announcements, about half of these announcements, about half of these announcements came through back in November, and we'll see 52,000 this past November were laid off, 10,000 in December, and almost 70,000 here in January. We're not even through the month of January. I'm fairly confident that these numbers will continue to increase. I don't see many of these numbers slowing down, these layoffs slowing down. In fact, multiple CEOs have made comments. I believe the CEO of Google recently announced they are so overstaffed that they need to continue to cut the number of employees that they have by, I believe it was a number in the hundreds of thousands. I think it was somewhere around 150, 160,000. I'll pull up the article if I can find it. I'll make sure to show you guys. So, tech layoffs since COVID-19. Guys, if we just go ahead and look at this chart, you see in 2020, right around the start of COVID, we have massive, I would say massive layoffs, right? Quarter two alone, 60,000 employees were laid off. Quarter three, we see a pretty dramatic reduction from that to 10,000. And throughout the rest of the year, it's pretty quiet, relatively speaking. But here, quarter two of 2022, we start to see a revamp of the layoffs, and each quarter seems to get worse and worse. I know this looks like, like we're seeing a downtrend once again. We are just in the first month of quarter three. We have 2 months left. We're not even through the first month. Like I said before, from what I'm hearing from these companies, from what they're saying and what they're releasing, this isn't the end of the layoffs. I don't see this slowing down. I see this getting worse. Tech layoffs by industry. Most layoffs seem to be coming from other industries, with second place coming in retail, third in consumer, fourth in transportation, and fifth, surprisingly so, in healthcare. Recently, a lot of policies have been put out that limit the ability for a healthcare facility or a hospital to pull in income from things like COVID-related cases, right? And so hospitals still spend money on people who come in with COVID symptoms and COVID issues, but because it's the government and it's government funding that's related to all of this COVID response and everything like that, just because the government says they're going to give you $10 million doesn't mean they're going to give you $10 million. Not only that, it doesn't mean if you do get your $10 million, you're going to get it in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. Sometimes that looks like 3 to 5 years or even 10 years from. The government is famously slow and inefficient, I guess is the nice way to put it, when it comes to bringing out a lot of the promises that it makes. So we have a list of layoffs. You can organize these by dates. We're going to organize them by the number of people laid off. You've got Google at number 1. Google with 12,000 layoffs at 6% of its workforce. Meta with 11,000, 13% of its workforce. Microsoft and Amazon tied up for 10,000. Amazon at 8, Salesforce at 8. And from there, Booking.com, Cisco, Philips, IBM, they're seeing layoffs as well. I don't want to scroll through too fast here. You've got Uber, 3,000 layoffs. That's not too surprising. I know Uber's been struggling as far as getting a significant response in their profit margin. Carvana, I know Carvana is talking about bankruptcy recently, actually. They have 2,500 layoffs. I can promise you that's going to continue to go up. Crypto, I know in the crypto space, things are sketchy. Zillow, that's actually surprising to me. But we also know that we've had a housing issue recently, right? A lot of the housing prices in many areas are skyrocketing, but in many other areas are falling like a rock, I guess is the best way to put it. Interesting stuff. You might see here like Carvana's listed again. That is another layoff announcement. So these are not totals. I believe if you look here, you've got Amazon, 18,000 total, but announced on 2 different days. So it's just something interesting I thought I'd bring up, something I've been seeing. I know there are a lot of you people out there who might be affected or might be worried about the state of the economy and how things are going and how secure you are in your work. I figured I'd at least say something, maybe try to bring something a little more serious than I normally I do very silly little videos, right? You guys are probably aware of that by now, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm just trying to find out where I am as far as a creator. I think it's important to share this kind of information and bring it forward and be upfront about this kind of information. And yeah, that's really my goal, is to help inform and I guess become a better creator, more efficient. I don't know, beats me. But I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you watching. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. Please, for the love of God, people, throw me a sub, dude. I'd appreciate it. That'd be awesome. That'd be sick, right? Do it. Now, click the sub button. It's not that hard. Please. Throw me a like if you don't mind. Maybe even comment if you're affected by the layoffs. Dude, tell us your story, man. We'd love to hear from you. It's important that you share your story. A lot of people, I promise you, it's okay to be vulnerable most of the time. I know it's the internet, a little toxic, but let us know if you have any additional information that you would like to share here. We'd love to hear from you. Once again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. I hope you guys have a great new year, a great day, a great night, wherever you're at. And I'm going to be sure to post some more soon. I'll see you guys later.